Motion 26 makes changes in the sample format for Nar-Anon meetings in the Guide to Local Services, page 3-3. In the section entitled Leader/Chair, the words, quote, present the topic and share, quote, are stricken out and replaced with the words, quote, introduces speakers or announces the topic of the meeting, end quote. The motion maker is Iran Region 1. The stated rationale is to avoid confusion by making this sentence match with point 4 of chair/leader duties on page 4-1 of the Guide to Local Services. No additional expense is expected as the Guide to Local Services will be updated following the World Service Conference.
Motion 27 proposes to define a group conscience emergency meeting that can be called by a servant or member of the group. Such a meeting would be held when issues arise that may endanger common interests. The group conscience emergency meeting text would be added to the Guide to Local Services in Section 4 on group structure. The motion maker is the Tehran region. The stated intent and rationale of the motion is to clarify the definition and format of an emergency meeting of group conscience. However, Motion 27 does not outline the format of the meeting or provide information regarding voting during a group conscience emergency meeting. In the GLS, page 4-4, section on group conscience, it states, group conscience occurs anytime members make a decision in the best interest of the group, area, region, etc., or Nar-Anon as a whole. Therefore, Motion 27 may be perceived as redundant. If this motion is passed, the proposed text will be added to the Guide to Local Services. No financial impact is anticipated from passing this motion.
Motion 28 makes changes in the Guide to Local Services in the section Duties of Area Officers on page 5-2 of the English version. The first line, quote, chairs the ASC meetings, end quote, is deleted. And then the duties of the chair are listed separately following the ASR entry. 9 chair duties are listed. If this motion is approved, these changes will be made in the Guide to Local Services. The motion maker is the Tehran region. The rationale is stated that it would be better to define the chair duty in the area structure. No additional expense is expected as the Guide to Local Services will be updated following the World Service Conference.
Motion 29 is asking to remove all language in the Guide to Local Services referring to tiebreakers during a group conscience. Simply put, if a motion does not pass with 51% majority, it simply does not pass. Removing the language that refers to forcing a decision by allowing an officer to vote twice violates our principles.
Motion 30. Refer to the presentation on motions for Nar-Anon. Motion 31. Refer to the presentation on motions with feedback.
Motion 32. Motion 32 adds a phrase to the Guide to Local Service in the section Payment for Speaking on page 9-4. The paragraph reads, in keeping with the 8th tradition, Nar-Anon speakers are reimbursed for expenses only. When members speak to outside organizations, They may suggest that payments in excess of their expenses be used by the organization to purchase CAL for distribution as an educational service. The added phrase follows the word members, so the new sentence reads, when members, on behalf of and in coordination with areas or regions outreach committee, speak to outside organizations, etc. The motion maker is Tehran region, and the stated intent is to specify who can be the speaker member. If this motion is approved, the Guide to Local Services will be updated.
Motion 33. Motion 33 makes changes to the Guide to Local Services. In this section, outreach to the public, on page 11-1, in the fourth paragraph under the posters/flyers subtitle. This section discusses posters and flyers that are available from World Service Office and may be used by groups, areas, or regions for outreach. This paragraph states that local or regional contact information may be added to the poster. This motion strikes the sentence, "These flyers do not require submission and review." The motion then adds the sentence, "Production and review should be done by areas and regions outreach committees." The motion maker is Tehran region. The stated rationale is that according to Concept 1, groups do not enter structural work, and this responsibility is assigned to outreach committees. If this motion is approved, this section of the Guide to Local Services will be changed following this year's conference. There is no additional expense, as both the Guide to Local Services and the Guide to World Services are updated following every World Service conference.
Motion 34. Motion 34 makes a change to the Guide to Local Services in the section Cooperation with Narcotics Anonymous on page 13-1. The change is in the first bullet point on the list of ways Nar-Anon may cooperate with Narcotics Anonymous. The existing sentence states, "The services of one or two members to act as liaison and to provide current lists of group contacts for 12th step referrals." The sentence with this motion's added language reads, "The services of one or two members to act as a liaison and to provide current lists of group contacts, including permanent service phone number, meeting address and link, meeting date, time, and format for 12-step referrals." The motion maker is the Tehran region, that the stated intent is to provide better access to group information, specifying it is the group's information that is provided, not the member's information. If this motion is approved, this section of the Guide to Local Services will be updated following the conference.
Tradition 6 suggests our family groups ought never to endorse, finance, or lend our name to any outside enterprise, and that we should always cooperate with Narcotics Anonymous. An example of cooperation with NA may be setting up tables or booths at each other's conventions. Outside therapies or activities of other recovery fellowships are not announced or discussed in our groups, as that would be considered endorsement. Similarly, Nar-Anon newsletters and bulletin boards should not be used to publicize activities of other organizations. Currently, the GLS allows for the possibility of Nar-Anon publications promoting activities of NA. Motion 35 proposes removing this possibility, suggesting that promoting the activities of NA in Nar-Anon publications is an example of endorsement rather than cooperation, and therefore it is in violation of Tradition 6. If Motion 35 is passed, NA activities would not be listed in Nar-Anon publications. This motion was submitted by Iran Region 1 and is not anticipated to have any financial consequences.